Welcome back, Aries. This is Juice here. In today's video, I'm looking at how Benji and Savage are so good. These guys have been at the top of the duo game for the past 3 years almost. They are absolutely insane. They just recently got second place in the FNCS qualifying, went straight to the grand finals. Looking at how these guys are so good and effective in duos. There's a couple of things for mid-game, end-game rotates, end-game refreshes, and we're looking at directly from their Twitch VOD with the epic pen here, so we're drawing around in their Twitch VOD, return of that epic pen, and looking at some stuff for communication, which I'm sure you guys will find useful, and a couple of things for teamwork as well. As always, make sure to like on the video, make sure to subscribe if you're new, and make sure to go check out the duos masterclass if you want to get better duos as well. Okay, first thing we'll take a look at is how to make your mid-game rotates more successful. The two key things when using a mid-game rotate as an IGL, or even if you're a player that's following the IGL like Benji, in this case following Savage, is you always need to be aware of these two crucial things, which is first of all going to be the threat level of the opponents around you. Who is likely to shoot you, who can grief your rotate, who can hold you, who can get an MK beam. All of those things need to be evaluating before you do your rotate and also while you're doing your rotate. And the next thing, so what you're going to see Savage do here, is being aware of line of sight. So let's take a look at how they do this rotate.
Okay. Like this.
Okay, first one we see is he says hug this. This basically means that they'll be hugging the left-hand side, and the left-hand side of this rotate the entire way through into the zone. And that also means that they're going to be cutting off pretty much everyone on the left-hand side and only have to be worried about that right-hand side, as well as some people on the top of the hill, which you're going to see here.
As soon as we leave, they start flying.
Now, when Benji is following up Savage is basically focused entirely on forward and people on the right hand side, and Benji's basically just blocking off and checking the back. And because he's aware of the threat level, basically the proximity of someone near him shooting him, he double checks this, immediately spots these people trying to open up and get some surge, blocks off the angle, and they actually manage to get this rotate extremely for free, despite the fact this is a very challenging rotate, and a lot of people would struggle with. Of course, Pepper's having good movement like here, you can see they're sliding down the hill to go a little bit faster, and Savage is also doing jumps to make it so it's harder for them to get beamed, is also very useful to do. Finally, as they come to this hill here, they hug the close bit of the hill, kind of use this tree to block off this right-hand side of the box, ramp up and do a very nice, cheap and effective metal 2x1, which allows them to hold behind and be in a very good spot going into endgame. Always remember there's two key things when you're doing a mid-game rotate: threat level of the people around you, and also lines of sight as you start your rotate, and how the lines of sight develop as you come into new spaces or you open up into like new types of hills and stuff like that. It's very crucial to do, and it'll make your mid-game rotates much more successful and cheap, like these guys just did here. Look at how quickly and efficiently Benji and Savage set up this 3-2-1 on someone's wall. You guys need to have this kind of efficiency when it comes to doing plays like this for your duo, since you're only going to have this opportunity once or twice throughout an entire tournament, and it can completely change how your game is played out.
No, you drop, like, you just teleport in. Can you do me like, can you do me 30 out? Can you do me 30 out?
Come to me.
Yeah.
Spray this one, 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice.
As soon as they get knocked, they both hard build over, and they actually decide to come from the same wall, which is definitely the correct play. If you come from the same wall, there's zero chance that you get 2v1'd by even a really good fighter, and they're able to get the loot, which completely sets up really nicely in the game. Benji gets a shotgun, and they get a nice mat and ammo refresh in these stat games, is very important. Okay, now a load of you guys absolutely suck at recycling pads, so let's cover how you're going to be able to recycle pads. This works in solos as well as in duos, and it's very useful to do at all points in the game. Okay, so the first thing when it comes to recycling pads, it's all about the layer they are on. It's so much easier to recycle something if you're dropping down on it and you can scout out from above where all of them are. So it's very important to go in on a high layer, especially if you know that you've got no mobility, you've got no pads to actually use yourself. You need to be on a high layer, and it's definitely worth investing in mats like Benji does here. It's a very simple play, ramping in hard metal, make sure he overbuilds a lot of angles and gets them onto a nice spot on the edge 50-50. This basically means from this tiny spot right here, as you can see, they can have the ability to actually recycle all of the pads in this entire vicinity. And on this very congested side of the zone, as you can see, zone is pulling in from this way. There's going to be so many duos boxed up below them, and because these guys are that late rotate on a high point, they're going to be able to recycle so many pads, which we'll see here in a second. Another play that Savage does that I really like is basically buying time where they can recycle a pad. You're going to see what he does here. He builds forward in brick. The reason he's doing this in brick is because it makes it harder for the lobby to see him. Whenever you build in brick, especially a lot of people playing low meshes nowadays, people literally just can't see you and see what you're doing as he's building out right here. Instead of doing metal, which is what the base is in. So he expands out 2 in brick, then he stops as soon as you get sprayed out by this other player, runs back into his box, and that 2 tiles forward there is going to basically be a 2 or 3 whole seconds on the backside of the zone where they can actually spend extra time scouting out a pad when zone finally closes.
Left, I think it was a left.
Now you're going to see that extra space forward allows this extra time where they can scout out a pad. It means they don't have that scuffed period where everyone's jumping on a pad together and they're pumping each other in the air, which is completely stupid to do. Make sure you avoid that. And they get a very nice recycle like this. Make sure they actually hit down the pad and don't pump on each other's head. And perfect. And the nice thing with that, because they're the last team and they've also built forward a little bit and they're quite high up, is as you can see here, they're the highest duo in the sky, which allows them the option of either landing very late and actually saving a lot of mats and tarpings, landing as frontside as possible, or they can possibly go for height, depending on how it's looking. Alright, let's take a look at how they're actually able to find potential refreshes in this end game quite early on, which is first moving, which I know a lot of people struggle with finding refresh on first moving. They basically have to wait till later on to get a kill, but these guys consistently get kills on first moving and get refreshes that way. So how do they do it? First of all, it's using the item which Savage is pretty much famous for, which is a harpoon. They actually both end up carrying one here in a second, and it's going to allow them a lot of potentials for drop downs. Drop downs are basically you harpoon someone's out floor or their cone, and they drop down to your box and you've got them full pieced and you can go for a very simple kill. The reason this works so effectively for them here is because, of course, they're on ultimate low ground, which means everyone is going to be above them or in that layer directly, most of the time it's above them. And also, they're not quite edge of zone as you're going to see here. They could be one box out towards the edge of zone. That means there's going to be potential for drop downs on anyone on the right-hand side over this way, anyone straight above them if they're above their actual cones, and anyone on the left-hand side over here as well can be dropped down. This is how they do it. Basically, because on their low ground, they're in the end of zone as well, which is basically the perfect time to go for a refresh because they don't have to move for about another 15-20 seconds here. And this basically means they're going to have a very easy job of dropping someone down. When you actually go for a drop down, you need to clearly comm for your duo what you're doing and the fact that you need them there. You can't just say on me, you have to say that you need your duo and you need them to be looking at the same direction as you. Otherwise, you run a situation like this, like Benji has.
Wait, right?
It's a very nice play, almost catches the guy, but literally catches the guy on the cone again with the harpoon. No one really expects this, especially because harpoons aren't that popular at the moment because people carry Spider-Man or carry other type of heals. Harpoons do work very well for this purpose, and he catches a good player out in the finals twice with this play.
I'm low. I'll go back, I need to.
Unfortunately, the play doesn't actually work at the correct thing, which is to get out and survive. That definitely could have worked if he got Savage on the same angle as him. Also, one key thing, whenever you actually do one of your shotgun plays, make sure you have a cone in your box and a cone pre-placed over here, just so the other guy can't block you off and bump you up. As you can see, Benji gets kind of scuffed by the stair on his box, and it messes up his pump shot, and of course Savage wasn't with him at the correct time as well. One very important thing, whenever you're in an end game and it gets a little bit scuffed, you're not really sure what to do, always think around the edge of storm. As you can see here, these guys are in the center of storm on backside. It's a little bit scuffed for them. They were holding people trying to get refreshes on backside and didn't really end up coming to them. So a little bit shambles on mats. And what they do here is very nice by Savage as he leads.
Match is foul, match.
I'm gonna talk.
I 50 mal. There's solo in front of us.
As you can see, he tries tarping forward and he basically gets cut off by teams on his left, teams in front of him, and it gets very scuffed at this point. You can't really continue straight on, especially the mats start to run out.
Yeah, fine. I'm still afraid of match.
So what does he do? He immediately finds the edge of storm, so he heads over to the right-hand side here, and they're basically going to stick to the right-hand edge of storm and claim it for their own and fight everyone on this edge for the rest of the game, and it works really well for them. So let's take a look at how they do this.
Run past this.
100. Look in. Nice. 20 white.
Chase him.
Nice.
Gets that very nice kill on the team on that right hand side of the storm with them, and as soon as they get that, the one mistake that people do in duos a lot is they try to help their teammate get the body for some reason. All you need to do, if you only have cypher mats or a minimum amount of mats like Benji here, is just tarp and make it safe for your teammate to get the mats, and then they can take over top. You have to be dependable and flexible in your roles, so you can both do the same thing about tarping while one of them gets the body. So Savage gets the knock, he goes to the body, and Benji's going to tarp forward for a second here, and make sure it's safe for Savage to come through as well.
Okay, I have a 100, easily.
As you can see though, they're sticking to right hand side of the zone the entire time here. It works really nicely because they killed that one solo as part of the duo on that right hand side. They basically have the rest of this for free for the entirety of the zone, and it works really well. Everyone else is fighting on the side,
I'm dropping 4
and they got this entire side clean.
I've got more here.
Drop down there, wait. Here. Okay, double up in.
3, 2, 1.
Do it.
2 birds.
I won't build.
I'm dropping. Come.
I'm dropping your master. Behind you.
Hit in the water below us.
Get in the water. Yeah,
110. Can you get that? Yeah, you get that. I'm jumping right.
Okay, so after they've done that edge play and stuck to the edge of storm, they basically get into a situation like this where they've kind of burned through all their mats and they need to fight people, and pretty much everyone at this point in the game has to fight. So it comes down to who can do that the best. And the way that these guys work so effective and why they're such a good duo is they always comm what they're going to do before they do it. Whether they're harping someone down, they're going to fight someone, they're going to take a wall, they always comm it so they know that they're on the same page and they can play together, which is a crucial thing when it comes to these endgame situations. So let's take a look.
Bang!
No.
Okay, yeah, sir. Good rebels, happening! Dead! Okay, but go. Come here, I've siphoned.
Dead.
Sure.
No,
Nice.
no, push him,
Go.
One more.
Getting finish.
Dead.
Nice, buddy.
I'm getting a harp in that.
Okay. Yeah. There's a solo. I'm pretty sure.
On the wall.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I don't know where
I have 5 bullets.
Oh, behind me.
Dead.
Nice. 2.
Yeah.
I have the match.
Very well done by them, and you can see here, as soon as they get into the situation with a 2v2 on height, they basically take the fight straight to the opponents. They don't let them have that advantage where they can just spray with an SMG. They go and fight them straight up and get involved, which is the important thing to do.
20, hopping him down. He's down. 60, nice. I'm going. I'm low.
70.
I'm 1-on-1.
Got him.
Play white, let's go!
Nice,
We're so good! We're the best!
Nice.
This is a very nice refresh play that I see people mess up the entire time, so just take a look at how Benji and Savage do it properly.
He's behind us.
So first of all, the information given, it kind of just lets Savage know about the threat of these other people, and also the potential play that Benji's going to do. Boxing. This is the most important comm that people miss out on the entire time. They just try to box someone and then say boxed after, but Benji says it beforehand, which means that Savage is right there helping immediately.
Full box!
As soon as he gets him, he says full box, very useful to do. And Savage holds cone. That is the most crucial thing. Benji's the one spraying. It makes no sense for him to try and stop his build rounds. He still does it, obviously just a reaction. But Savage is the one holding the cone, and he's the one who gets the cone. As you can see, Benji's cone's not even out just yet. And that is why this play works. Because Savage realizes, okay, Benji's doing the play. I need to be the sort of support player in this situation. That is why they get this kill. Very nicely, they get the cone, they get the back calls, get the kill as well. And most importantly is they carry the body into the zone, and that allows them to get all the loot from it as well, which is very nice. Again, another very simple refresh thing that people mess up on is when you're going for walls, you need to have these roles set up about who is going to be doing what, who's going to be breaking or spraying, and who's going to be holding and editing. Very simple, but there's extra actions, especially in a laggy endgame like this. It does delay the amount of times, and it means that you'll be more successful about actually getting the refresh when you do the play properly. So let's take a look.
Right here, double spray.
Benji sprays.
Do that,
Savage holds and he edits as well. Benji sprays, breaks. Savage holds and edits as well. Very, very simple. You need to have that set up with your duo. It's going to make you much more efficient again at getting refreshes at the correct time.
Nice, get up.
This is a very smart heads up play by Benji here that he does in this endgame. Realizes the team near him is getting zapped by Surge, and he wants to capitalize on it in a safe way. So how's he going to do this?
Oh, did I say
First thing is just pre-placing this armoured wall before the opponents even get the chance to jump into the box. The only way that they throw this game right here is by a team running straight into their box. At this point, so he pre-places the armoured wall and immediately goes to a rank peek on the side. Basically guaranteed himself a free tag with this rank peek. Gets it, then he plays a very safe angle to not give up any surge. Again, he swings back to the left, sets up the rank peek, and gets the kill, gives it to him. And as soon as he gets that instant kill, of course Surge activates that lane. But he realises that the wall's died as well, so he gets in a position where he can capitalise and get all the rest of the loot as well. Okay, so right here, Benji's going to go down a little bit early because of some great gameplay mechanics. So let's take a look at how Savage is able to solo.
Nice. Yeah. I can't build, I'm dead! What?
The first thing that he does is he immediately capitalizes on a Spider-Man on the floor. If you're a Spider-Man, you guys should know this by now, but you can solo clutch so much easier. And in endgame, you really, the 10 charge thing doesn't matter too much. As long as you've got around 3 charges or 4 charges, that is enough. So he immediately capitalizes on it, he runs over, makes sure he builds the entire way and blocks with all his angles. And then when he gets it, he does a very nice play. He goes wide into Storm and finds an edge that he wants to play to. So he wants to go out here on the left-hand side of Storm, get up to a nice, decent layer, gets up, boxes up, and actually places the armoured wall on his cone there. If you guys didn't know, you can actually do that. It's very nice to do if you're playing solo out. It basically means that you can't get jumped in on it, blocks solo angles to get sprayed, and also you can't get sprayed out. Get some time to heal up. And again here, he's going to stick to the edge of Storm and ride it out as much as possible. And also making sure that he doesn't spend too long on the backside, so you can always start trying to play towards the front side. Of course, if you're on the backside as a solo, it's very easy to get focused and get sprayed in on.
Fine, you can slide on back. Nice. Focus flashes. You're in.
Okay, right here you're going to see how Savage is able to solo clutch up a lot more placement just by staying alive, and he knows the fact that he needs to get a refresh hit. He does this in a really effective way as he tries to just focus on one of the duos that is around him and just one of the players in that duo.
Yeah. Nice.
Gets a nice little crack tag on the pink skin there, and he actually waits here with the cone for a second for the first player in the duo to be forward. So you can see they are a separate box at this point. And again, he isolates the pink skin, Peace controls him up, gets the knock in from behind, and actually decides to go, instead of focusing the other one, just focus on getting that loot and getting the mats from it as well.
South Spider-Man. You're 200 mats now, 200 mats.
As soon as he gets sprayed out, he does that armoured floor around his head, and then as soon as he gets sprayed in from the front side here again, really good armoured wall usage. He places it on the stair like he did earlier, just to make sure that these people can't come into his box from the side angle or around the hill. It's very important that you don't just do walls. If possible, you actually do the stairs that blocks off so many more angles.
Goes uphill, remember. You have one Spider-Man charge.
At this point, only one Spider-Man charges you. It's a really nice play till she hit the spiderweb. There, go back in Storm, and then go far forward with the short spiderweb. Gets into a box.
Two builds.
Is out of mats at this point, pretty much.
Well, no,
so he decides to use his final remaining HP that he has to run back in Storm and actually squeeze out the rest of the placement points, which is an insane play to do and think at this point.
Well played.
Gets top 5 from that, running back in the Storm, and it was a really good solo clutch. The key things when you're solo clutching your duos is to always focus on just burning through your mats where possible, and obviously having a Spider-Man helps that as much as possible, and staying front side with that Spider-Man is so key.